Hello everyone and welcome to Skein Spider. Today I have another What the Hook pattern for you. Now the prompts for this month, or the last month, were a piece of fruit, a safety pin, and some makeup. Now using those, well, I sort of cheated a little bit, you'll see what I mean. I came up with this guy, a pumpkin rocker, or a pump rocker, if you will. I decided to make this guy a continuation of my Halloween series, so he has the same head and body shape, although the head is crocheted a little bit differently, so we'll be doing that in today's pattern. But I used the pumpkin as the fruit part, which I'm just going to let slide. I know it's not a fruit, well, it's one of those things that's technically a fruit. Anyway, I've done a pumpkin as my fruit. I did some eyeliner for a makeup, and the safety pin I used to make his little punk rocker leather vest, or faux leather vest here. So that's what we're going to be making today. Oh, and he's also got a mohawk. The leaf is a mohawk. Very punk. So that's what we're going to be making today. When this video goes up, it should almost be Halloween, so if you do celebrate, I hope you have a fun Halloween, and if you don't celebrate, I hope you have a good day anyway. So let's get on with the pattern. Grab your hooks and let's get started. To make this pattern, you're going to need a 3.5mm hook, scissors, stitch markers, a needle, pins, stuffing, a pair of 14mm safety eyes, as well as 8-ply yarn in colours of your choice. We're going to start out with the head, and for that what you're going to need to do is first crochet 2 pieces. For each of these pieces you're going to need to crochet from rounds 1 to 7 of the original pattern. So that's going to be the mummy pattern, and I'll put a link for that down in the description. And again, you're only going to crochet from rounds 1 to 7, so that is the round before we start working in the back loop to go and create the side of the face. So you're going to crochet 2 of those, one for the top and then one for the bottom, and then what we're going to do is crochet the face. And to do that, we're going to create a slip knot, grab our 3.5mm hook, because that's what we're going to be using, and we're going to chain 13. When you finish the chain, starting from the second chain in the hook, we're going to single crochet, and then we're going to continue single crocheting all the way back down the chain, and that should give us 12 stitches in total. For row 2, begin by chaining 1 and turning your work. And then what we're going to do is work in the back loop only, and this goes for all the rows that we're going to do after this. So from rows 2 to 60, we're going to do them all in the back loop. The back loop, if you're not sure what that is the part of the stitch that's furthest away from you. So if you think of each individual stitch as a little V shape, you can see we've got 12 little V's along here. The back loop is the part of the V that's furthest away from you, so this part here. And we're going to be working into that for the entire pattern. So start row 2 by going into the back loop of the first stitch and single crocheting, and you're going to continue doing that all the way down the row. From here, rows 3 all the way through to 60 are going to be chain 1, turn your work, and then 12 single crochet in the back loop only. So chaining, turning, and working every row that we're going to do, so that's 3 through to 60 in the back loop only. When you finish row 60, what we're going to do is chain 1 and turn our work again, and then we're going to join the 2 sides together. So what you want to do is grab the other end, the opposite end, and line that up with the end that's on your hook, and just make sure that your piece hasn't twisted or anything like that. It's still nice and straight. And then what we're going to do is find the front loops that were left over from our original chain that we made. So there should still be 12 of those. And you're going to go straight into the first one. Where are we? Number 1. And from there, you're going to go straight into the front loop only of the last row that we did. So I'm just going through the part of the stitch that's closest to me, that's the front loop. And when you do that, you're just going to slip stitch to join the two sides together. We're going to do that in all 12 stitches all the way along, so we should be doing 12 slip stitches. So you're going to go into the second front loop, then the second front loop in the back piece here, slip stitch, number 3, and then just continue that all the way along. And then when that's done, we're going to cut a extra long tail so we can sew on the 2 pieces that we crocheted beforehand. Okay, so now we should have one piece that pretty much looks like ribbing, and then we have our top and our bottom pieces that we did before. The first thing I'm going to do before we start any sewing is just to grab my needle, and I'm going to weave in all my ends. So I'm going to weave in the 2 ends of these pieces here, just through the backs of the stitches, and I'm also going to weave in the tail end of my slip knot again into the back stitches. When you've finished weaving in all your ends, what we're then going to do is sew the top and the bottom pieces to this face piece that we just made. I would recommend grabbing some stitch markers. I'm going to use 4, and grab your top piece. It doesn't matter which piece you grab because they're both the same. And what we're going to do is line up the rows of the ribbing here that we've made with the stitches in the last round of the top piece. So we finished off round 7 of the top piece and the bottom piece with 60 stitches, and we've crocheted 60 rows here. So what we're going to do is sew 1 row to 1 stitch. So we're going to line them up like that, if that makes sense. So all I'm going to do is my join I'm going to have at the back of the head. So that's going to sit there. Actually, nope, that was right. So the join is going to sit at the back of the head. So I'm going to line that roughly there. And this doesn't have to be exact, it just has to, I might put 1 there actually. It's just to hold it in place as you go. Okay, when that's done, just grab your tail end and you want to thread your needle. And I'm going to begin sewing by going through the end of the row. So here you can see I've got row, which this would have been 60 here. I'm going to go through the end of that row. And I'm going to guesstimate here which stitch it lines up with in the top piece. So let's press that together. And it's going to be this stitch here. Now I'm not working through both stitches of the top piece, I only want to go through the front loop. So I'm leaving the back loop free, and then I'm going to sew that together. And then from here, I'm going to go straight into the end of the second last row. So we've got row 60 here, I'm going into row 59. Oh, that didn't work very well. And then again, I'm going through the front loop only of the next stitch in the top piece. And I'm going to pull that closed. And then into the end of row 58, into the front loop of the next stitch down. And then you're just going to continue working, going into the, this didn't work very well, going into the end of each row, and then through the front loop only of the top piece, and you want to sew the entire piece on. When you're finished, what we're going to do is just weave this tail end into the back of the stitches as well to hide it. So you can either weave it, I'm just going to turn this inside out to make it a bit easier, you can weave it into the top piece or the side piece, or whatever's easiest for you. then the next thing I'm going to do before I begin to sew the bottom piece on is to actually add the safety eyes. Now I want these safety eyes to be about in the same position as all the other characters I've made in the Halloween series. So I've just got my little demon dude here. So I'm just going to place the pumpkin head next to his, and I'm going to estimate about where the eyes are. So maybe there. And then when you're happy with the eye placement, you can put the backs on, so I don't need him anymore. And then what we're going to do is cut a length of yarn in the colour that we used. And I'm going to thread that through my needle. I'm going to bring in the bottom piece, and again I'm going to start from the back and then just sew the two pieces together, going through the ends of the rows like we did before and the front loops only of the bottom piece. However, with this piece what we're going to do is stop about 3/4 of the way around, and then we're going to stuff the head. So you just want to go in first, going into the back again. And what I'm going to do with this tail end, because we've had to use a separate piece of yarn, I'm just going to leave a tail end so I can finish it off securely later. So I've gone through the end of row 60. I'm going to go through the front loop here. And again, because I've used a separate piece of yarn, I'm just going to go back through this same stitch to secure it. So I'm going back into stitch 60 and back into the front loop I'm using, just to make sure that's nice and tight. And then like we did before, continue sewing all the way around, but this time we're stopping about here, about 3/4 of the way. Now that I've sewn on most of the bottom piece, I'm going to stop and add the stuffing. As you're stuffing, you want to try and keep the top of the head on a flat surface, and also you want to be careful not to overstuff the head. When all the stuffing's been added, we're just going to finish off. When I finished all my sewing, I'm just going to secure my end, and to do that, I'm going to push my needle out through the stitch where we left this original tail hanging out of. So I'm just going to push it all the way through there. Pull all the yarn through, and then I made this way too long. There we go. And then I'm just going to tie off both of those ends. I'm going to do 3 or 4 knots. Cut off any excess yarn, and then you can use your crochet hook to pull that knot back through the head, or you can just push it in with your scissors or your needle. There we go. And with that, our pumpkin head is finished. When you've finished putting together the pumpkin head, what you're going to do then is crochet the body. Now the pattern for that can be found in the first character video, which was the mummy, and I'll pop a link for that down in the description. So we're using the same pattern. The only difference between the two is there is a couple of color change rows. So if you make the arms first, rows 1 through to 4 of the arm are going to be in orange, or the pumpkin color, whatever you're using, and then the rest of the round, so that's 5 through to 12, are going to be in the shirt color, again whichever color that is for you. So that was rounds 1 through to 4 in orange, and then rounds 5 through to 12 in purple, or whichever color you're using. For the legs, from rounds 1 through to 7 you're going to do in orange, and then from rounds 8 through to 14 you're going to do in the pants color. Now round 14 is the last round before we join the two legs together, so I'll just go over that again once more. The legs, rounds 1 through to 7 are in orange, and then rounds 8 through to 14 are in the pants color. When you join the legs together, which is round 15, you're going to continue doing that in the pants color, and then rounds 15 through to 22 are going to be in that same color as well. And then the rest of the body, which is rounds 23 onwards, so round 23 through to 29, are going to be in the shirt color. If you found that a little bit confusing, what I will do is put all the color change rounds down in the description and the pinned comment below, so you have a written version of that available. But that's what we're going to do for the body. When that is complete, we're going to take the body and we're just going to sew it to the head. So before you do that, make sure that your toes, which if you turn your body on the side, are the part of the feet that just stick out a little bit further, where we did those increase rounds in, I think it could have been round 4. I don't know, it's been a while since I did this. So where those increases are, that's what you want to have facing forward. So you're going to line that up with the front of the head where the eyes are, and then just pin your head in place and sew it on. And when that's all done, we're going to go on to crochet the leaf, which I'm going to be using as hair or a little mohawk. So for that, we're going to need our green yarn and our 3.5mm hook. And we're going to begin the leaf by making a slip knot and then chaining 9. Starting in the second chain from the hook, we're going to do 7 single crochet down the chain. Once you've done that 7th single crochet, there should be 1 chain left. In this chain, we're going to put 3 single crochet all in the same chain. So 1, go back in a second time, 2, and once more for 3. For the rest of row 1, we're going to be working up the other side of the chain. So you just want to rotate your work. We're not turning it, we're just rotating it around. And we're going to work back into the front loops. We're going to start with 3 single crochet in the same chain like we did in the last stitch. 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to do 5 single crochet. And 5. So this should leave you with 2 chains left, or 2 front loops left, 1, 2, and we're going to leave those unworked. I also worked over my end from my slip knot just to secure it, so I can just cut that off later. For row 2, we're going to begin by chaining 1 and turning our work, and then we're going to do 15 single crochet all the way around. So we're going down this side, around the bottom here, and then back up the other side. For row 3, we're going to chain 1, turn our work, and then do 13 single crochet around. Row 4, chain and turn, and then we're going to do 11 single crochet. For row 5, what we're actually going to be doing is starting with a chain 3 instead of a chain 1. So we're going to chain 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to turn our work again. This time we're going to do 13 single crochet down, but we're going to do the first 2 across the first 2 chains that we made. So we're going to start in the second chain from the hook, and then we're going to do 1 single crochet into the back loop of that. Our second single crochet should be into the first chain that we made, 2, and then single crochet number 3 is going to be at the end of the last row, so 3. And then you're just going to continue along the leaf for the rest of the 13 single crochet. And 13. So 13 single crochet should have gotten you to the end of the row. And what we're going to do for round 6 is begin by chaining 3 again. 1, 2, and 3. Turn your work. This time we're going to start with 7 single crochet, and again the first 2 are going to be across the chain that we made. Starting in the second chain from the hook, 1, 2 across the chain, and then do the remaining 5. In the next stitch, we're going to put 3 single crochet all in the same stitch. 1, go back in 2, and again 3. And then we're just going to finish this row with 5 single crochet. So we should have 2 stitches left over, and we're going to leave those unworked. For row 7, you're going to chain 1, turn your work, and do 13 single crochet. For row 8, chain and turn, and then we're going to do 6 single crochet. And 6, and then for row 9, we're going to chain 1, turn our work, and do 5 single crochet back up the same side that we were just working. So we're going to come back and do the other side of the leaf in a moment. 4 and 5. And those 5 single crochet will leave us with 1 stitch unworked here. For row 10, we're going to chain and turn, and we're going to do 11 single crochet. So we're going to go down this side of the leaf and then back up the other side. And 5, so I've done 5 single crochet, and after that 5th one, I'm going to jump down from the top part here where we did those other 2 rows, straight down to row, what was that, 9, I think. So straight down into the next free stitch of row 9. So there's a bit of a jump. You want to go from this point here, up higher, straight down into here. So that's 6. Row 11 is chain 1, turn your work, and 6 single crochet. And then row 12, which is going to be our final row, is chain 1, turn your work, and then 5 single crochet. After that, you're just going to cut a tail for sewing. And how we sew this on later on is going to depend which way you want to situate your leaf. So I'm going to have mine as a mohawk, so it's going to be standing upright on the head. So I'm going to leave my tail here and sew the entire bottom piece on. But if you'd like to sew yours on just as a regular pumpkin leaf, you're going to take this end and weave it back down the stitches until you emerge from the middle here, and you're going to sew it on there. The next piece we're going to make, which is actually our final crochet piece, is going to be the leather vest, or well, the faux leather vest. And for that, we're going to make a slip knot and then chain 31. For row 1, we're going to start in the second chain from the hook, and we're going to do 30 single crochet back down along the chain. For row 2, we're going to begin by chaining 1 and turning our work, and we're going to start with a single crochet 2 together. To do that, what we're going to do is go into the first stitch, yarn over and pull through, so you should have 2 loops on your hook. But instead of completing the single crochet, we're going to go into the second stitch, yarn over and pull through. So at this point we should have 3 loops on our hook, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. And that's how you do a single crochet 2 together, and we're going to finish the rest of the row by doing 28 single crochet. For row 3, chain 1 and turn your work, and we're also going to start with a single crochet 2 together, and then we're going to do 27 single crochet. Row 4, chain and turn, we're going to single crochet 2 together and then do 26 single crochet. For row 5, chain and turn, we're again going to start with a single crochet 2 together and then do 25 single crochet. Row 6 begins with a chain and turn and another single crochet 2 together and then 24 single crochet. Row 7 is chain 1, turn your work, and then a single crochet 2 together and 23 single crochet. Row 8 is where we're going to be making the armholes, and just to make things a little bit easier, what I'm going to be doing is breaking down this written pattern, so the part down the bottom here, into parts A, B, C, D and so on. So we're going to begin with row 8, part A, and that's chain 1, turn your work and 3 single crochet. 1, 2 and 3. After this third single crochet, we're going to do row 8, part B, which is to chain 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. So row 8, part C, is to skip 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches and then do 8 single crochet. We're going to join the chain into that 6th single crochet. So again, we skipped 5, so now there should be 5 free stitches here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in what would have been number 6 is where we do our first single crochet of the 8 that we need to do. So I've done my first, that joined the chain, and I'm going to continue on to do 7 more. Now that I've done my 8 stitches across, I'm going to start row 8, part D, which is to chain 8 again. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. And then for row 8, part E, we're going to repeat what we did previously. We're going to skip 5 and then into the 6th single crochet. That's where we're going to join. And this time we're going to finish with 3 single crochet. I'm going to count out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to join in the 6th, so just do a single crochet into that. And I should have 2 stitches left. Yes, 1 and 2. And that is row 8 finished, and we've just got one more row to go, row 9. So to do that, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. With row 9, what we're going to be doing is working over both the rows, so the 3 on the end, the 8 here and the 3 here, but also the chain that we've made. So we need to work into the back loops of that. We're going to begin row 9 by doing a single crochet 2 together. 1. And then we're going to do 26 single crochet across. So my first single crochet should be on across the row here that we've done previously, because we finished off with 3. 1, and the next 8 single crochet of this part should be across the chain. So I'm going to go into the back loop of the chain. And then once you've worked 8 single crochet across the chain, you're going to continue with 8 more across the row here and then 8 more across the other chain. And then once you've worked across the chain, the second chain, there should now be the 3 stitches left. We're going to single crochet into the first, so that should be our 26th single crochet. And in the last 2 stitches, what we're going to do is another single crochet 2 together. And that is the last row that we need to do, but to finish off, what I'm going to be doing is just single crocheting around the edge. So I'm going to go down this side across the bottom and then back up the other side. I'm also going to be working over this end from my slip knot just to hide it. So I'm just going to put a single crochet in at the end of each row. When I'm finished, I'm just going to cut a short tail that I can weave in. However, if you would like to sew your vest down so it stays on, you can do that. You'll just need to cut a much longer tail to do that with. So I'm just going to weave this in. And with that finished, we can go on to putting our little punk rocker pumpkin together. So what we're going to do is put our jacket on our pumpkin. If you would like to, you can add some detail, so you can add some studs or some pockets or whatever else. I'm going to be adding my safety pins, but I don't know where I put them. I thought I grabbed them before I started, but I don't think I did. So what I'm going to do to complete the punk aesthetic is just to put some safety pins in. I might put some in the legs too. I'll see how we go. But other than that, all we need to do is sew on the leaf. So if you would like to have just a regular pumpkin, you can sew the leaf on like that and maybe crochet a stalk if you'd like to. But what I want is my leaf to look like a mohawk. So I'm going to be putting the leaf on standing up like this. So it looks like a mohawk. And all we're going to do, no matter which way you're putting your leaf on, we're just going to pin it down and then sew it on. Get rid of this tail first because I don't need you. Alright, mohawk done. Now the final thing I'm going to do is to add some eyeliner, because makeup was part of the What the Hook prompts. So for that I'm just going to grab some black yarn and thread that through my needle. And I'm just going to add that on below the eyes. And there we go, punk rocker pumpkin. Thanks for watching, everyone. This was the last pattern in the Halloween 2021 series. So I will be back next week with a new non-Halloween pattern. So if you don't want to miss that, make sure you subscribe and I will see you all next week.